Welcome back to another video. As you can tell, we're not outside. Weather's been lousy the last couple weeks, and I haven't had a lot of spare time. So today I'm recording in my basement, where I watch baseball games, football games, basketball games, so it's kind of set up as a man cave, but I hate that term, but that's really what it is. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about how to program, how I program my OM-1 Mark II, which I promised you guys we would do, and also going to talk about what we're recording on right now, all right, as well as give you a few updates, all right, for what's going on, all right, out there in the world, that is my photography world, some of the things I got going on. So thanks for coming along, everybody. Let's get into it. All right, so I have my list of things that I actually changed, from the original settings or the default settings on my OM-1 Mark II. They're right here on this list, and we'll go over them in a second. First, I want to talk about what I'm recording on, all right, which is one of the changes that are taking place. I'm actually recording on another OM-1 Mark II. All right, I decided to go ahead and eliminate or get rid of my OM5 and my 12mm f2 and just get another OM-1 Mark II. So I sold off the OM5 and I picked up another Mark II off of MPB. That's what we're recording on, and the reason why I did that, just so it's using the same battery, same standard, everything. I've got my Leica Q to use for everyday use, travel, whatever, so really the OM5 kind of, it was okay, nothing wrong with it, but the OM-1 Mark II, having exact duplicates, gives me the flexibility to do things, set up two different lenses, have everything set up real quick so I can react fairly fast to different changes or different things that are going on out there. So, that's why I made that change, and that's what we're recording on. We're using that along with my Leica 8-18. That's what we're recording with right now. All right, so now, here's the list. All right, and what I'm going to do, and I tried to figure out how to actually, do all this in one thing with set-in screens, everything else. And for those you don't know, I use, DaVinci, the free version of DaVinci, and it doesn't have all the flexibility in the world when it comes to editing or putting together video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, read through this list, give you a couple ideas here of what I've done, and tell you a little bit why I've done it or why I made those changes. And then while I'm doing that, I'll actually put this on the screen so you can see as I go through the list. All right, so let's start. First thing I'm going to do here is let's put put this list up for you to see. All right, so now what did I change first? The obvious. I switched my image to RAW. Now you don't have to do this. You can shoot in JPEG. You can do whatever you want, but I shoot in RAW, so I left it in RAW, or not left it, but I changed it into RAW. All right, I changed the picture mode to muted. All right, I used to shoot in vivid, now I shoot in muted, and the reason for that was something I learned from Lee Hoy. All right, and again, Lee Hoy is an OM Systems ambassador, and I'll put a link to his channel, all right, down below here in the comments, so you are down in the body of this, so you can, get a link to his channel so you can see it. Now he uses muted because he says when he reviews the image on the back of his camera, since he's shooting in RAW, the muted version gives him the closest he can possibly get to what the actual raw image is, so he knows what he's looking at. Where I was shooting in vivid, more of a JPEG type, more color, and it didn't necessarily represent what I was shooting. So I thought that made a lot of sense, so I changed to it. All right, so now color space. All right, change that to an Adobe RGB instead of RGB. And the reason for that is it gives you more colors. All right, so it's just more colors in the color spectrum. All right, noise filter. Turn it to off. I don't want the camera doing any work for me. I'll do all that in post-processing. The low ISO processing, set its detail. Got that again from Lee and a couple of others, one of them being Guido van de Water, who's also an OM ambassador who lives in the Netherlands. I'll put a link to his channel too, so you can see that. All right, set noise reduction to off. Again, I just don't want anything being done by the camera. I want to do it myself. Focus peaking, I make sure it's on, and I have it set to red. So when I'm doing manual focus, all right, I have the ability then to see what's in focus when it turns red. All right, then there's settings, and settings there's 4, 9, 25, 100, whatever. Again, something I got from Lee. You know, I haven't necessarily seen a difference. All right, and I'm not saying you have to change this, but I set it just like Lee did to 4, 9, and 25. All right, EVF style, I set it to 1. All right, why do I do that? I want as much in there as I can, but I want it in the way of the image, but I also want to be able to, you know, have a little bit of color, and the bottom of the screen will be blue, and everything will be in there. All right, info settings, I set it to image. Camera info settings, I check all of them except for silent. Just because silent shutter, I don't need to see that in my screen, okay? The grid, I set it to rule of thirds. Shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. All right, and then this is maybe could be controversial, but this is, again, you know, something I've done. I also see that Lee does it, you know, and that is, you know, you have 2 memory cards. So I set my memory card settings to auto switch. So what does that mean? So instead of printing like a, you know, backup copy from one to the other, what I'm doing is I'm actually setting it to where it's printing everything to one. When that one's full, it automatically goes to the next one. Why do I do that? I haven't had really too many issues where I couldn't recover anything off my cards. Again, and these things you can literally connect directly to your phone or to your iPad, you know, and pull them off. All right, you don't necessarily have to take the cards out or do anything with them. So it's a habit I've gotten into. I'm not saying you have to. All right, but that is how I have done this. All right, so now what I'm going to do here is take a couple of these. I'm going to show you the back of my camera. I wish I could connect this to my computer and record it, but I tried it and I couldn't make it work, so we'll do it this way. All right, so I'm going to turn everything around, set it all up so you can actually see the back of my original OM-1 Mark II. All right, and we'll take a look at it and hopefully be able to see, you know, I'm not going to go through each one of these because some of these, again, these are things that I changed. It doesn't mean you have to. All right, so let me go through, all right, and set this up, and we'll get right back together here in a second. All right, so now you can see the back of my camera. All right, first thing I do is I change RAW. So I go down here, RAW, and I'm done. All right, now just so everybody knows, you can go across the menus on the back with your back button or back thumb button. All right, and then you can go across the different menus. All right, and by using the front. All right, so the next thing I typically change is picture mode. All right, so let's take a look for that. So where is that? Right here. All right, so when you go into picture, and this is literally the second, you know, setup in the first menu. All right, so you see here I've got it set at muted. All right, I used to shoot with vivid. Now I shoot with muted, as I said earlier. All right, I select that. And I'm not saying you have to, that's your choice, but you know, that is what I do. All right, so now let's see what else. Noise filters to off. And again, you know, again, to each his own, right? I set them to off, as you can see here. I just don't want the camera doing the work. All right, I set detail priority for low ISO, noise reduction to off, as you can see there. All right, focus peaking, I set that, all right, to on. If I remember correctly, that is somewhere in here. Right here we go, peaking settings. All right, so you can see here, you know, you got it set at red, image brightness adjustment to off. Okay, but that's what I do there. All right, let's see another one, EVF style. Let's get to that one. EVF style, here we go. All right, so it's under settings and it's the fourth menu in. All right, I set it to 1, and if you can see here, it's got the little blue line across the bottom. You can go with the others, it's just the way I like it to be. All right, it's just my choice, how I do things. When I'm looking through the viewfinder, that's what I'm getting. All right, so then, you know, camera settings, let's skip down to that. All right, so you got info settings. Like I said, I set it to image only. Okay. Not easy to do this with your hands full. All right, and then here All right. Again, image only. And down here I've got image settings. Again, image only. Here's your grid settings. All right. Here I choose rule of thirds. All right, I don't do anything here. All right, and then I will, change my memory card settings right here. Card slot settings. All right, I choose this here where it just goes from one to the other. It's auto switch. You can choose one of the others, but that's what I do. All right, so now the only thing I messed up on that was the one that I couldn't find my camera info settings. I didn't set it right, so obviously it looks like, at least in this format here, I have messed around with it, because I've got it actually set on a preset. So let's go over here. Let's go back. One more. All right, so image there. Okay, so now all right, as you can see here, I have things set a little different by each one of my presets. All right, and I'm not saying you have to do it this way. That's totally up to you. All right, but basically, if you're going to set your info settings to information 1, it's just, again, I don't use the all but silent. I don't use silent. It's just something that I do. All right, just the way I look at it. So, again, nothing here fancy. I wish I was better at doing this stuff. I wish it was set up a little bit better, but I at least wanted to share it. And of course, I go to share it, and the one settings I have doesn't even match what I told you I was doing. But the reality is I am doing that. Take the glasses off. All right, so that gives you an idea. I'm sorry it's not perfect. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. And if anybody ever wondered if I test these things out, or if I, come up with some sort of a script for what I do, no, I don't. I just, for lack of a better term, 9 times out of 10, I just wing it. And that's what I do, and I hardly ever edit anything out. Why do I do it that way? I just want to be natural. I want to be me. I don't want to be how I do things. I want you to be able to see that. No, because again, I'm not trying to pitch myself as being the world's greatest, photographer. I'm an amateur like everybody else. I'm not perfect. I don't remember everything. I don't remember every setting. So I have to, play with it and learn from it and try to get better at it, just like anyone else does, just like making videos. All right, so now a couple other updates. Again, before I get into that, I will, again, Lee Hoy, Guido Van Water, their links will be down in the description, so you can get to their channels if you need to. All right, so now, what else is going on? There is no more Adventure Wagon. All right, I got rid of the Adventure Wagon, and now I've got a Jeep Wrangler. Why did I do that? Really pretty simple. I grew up in Toledo. My family builds these things, yet I've never owned one. So I just wanted to own one. Thought it was a good idea, kind of I called a midlife crisis, whatever you want. But I just wanted something different, and so I bought one yesterday, and from now on, that'll be what I'm out in. All right. No big news there, but that's just something that I thought. Now, as far as upcoming, all right, thinking here hopefully my next video I can get out in, I want to try to go downtown in Covington. Excuse me. All right, and try to shoot photos of the city, all right, from a different angle than I've done in the past. All right, basically at nighttime, and then I'm going to try to shoot. All right, as the sun comes up, kind of, so you get a little bit of a difference from a different angle than I've done. So I think that's what I'm going to do next, and then after that, the missus and I we've planned a trip to the Outer Banks. So I'm going to take both of my OM-1 Mark IIs. All right, and I'm going to take those with me. All right, and we're going to, see what I can capture. I'm hoping I can do some astrophotography. I'd love to be able to capture the Milky Way if it happens to present itself. I haven't even done enough research yet to know, but certainly I'm going to work on that if I can. you know, we're going to see how travel photography with the OM-1 Mark II works out. Take along, I'm probably going to take everything because I'm figuring I'm going to see birds. I'm going to see a little bit of everything. I'll do sunrises, maybe even a sunset or two. But I'm going to do that. All right. Now, one other thing I'm changing. All right. We're in the process of selling my 40 to 150 f4. All right. Not because there's anything wrong with it, not because I didn't like it. I love it, size, everything, it's great. But I'm going to purchase a 40 to 150 2.8. Why am I doing that? Really pretty simple. I have the 1.4 extender and it works with the 2.8, but it doesn't work with the f4. It just gives me a little bit more flexibility. The negative is I pick up some weight, which I'm not really happy about, but I want to try that, see if I like it. And if I don't, I can always switch back. All right, but that's the plan as it sits today. All right, moving forward. So again, no adventure wagon. Now we're into a Jeep. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. Maybe, I don't know. But that's what we're at. Heading out to the Outer Banks here in a couple weeks. Hopefully we'll capture some images there. We'll be able to share a video from that. All right, and then of course the change on the 40 to 150. So look for some of those things in the future. All right, so please remember to leave, you know, comments, like. If you're interested, subscribe. You know, if you like what you get. Again, I'm not perfect. Made a mistake right there in the video, and I'm not going to edit it out. I'm not going to do anything. I want you to see exactly how natural that is. I mean, some things are not even perfect, and it is what it is. So hopefully you appreciate that. And if you don't, leave me a comment. Tell me you don't. All right. Just try to be honest and genuine. So I want to make sure you know that. All right. So beyond that, like, comment, subscribe, continue to share. We're over 500 subscribers. Greatly appreciate everybody. You know. Thanks for coming along. Appreciate every view, every thumbs up, every comment. They're all great. All right. So thanks. All right. So until we see you again, stay safe.